on the belly, it is blackened underneath it.
On the inside.
On the inside, yeah.
Not very useful for video identification.
No. But they're common, fortunately, so we're learning to pick them out even from a distance. And a pencil urchin, they walk along on their spines in this environment and can crawl up these rock slopes.
So we see the black-belly rosefish on coral rubble and coral sites. We've seen many, many in the past week or so, but I'm kind of surprised to see this many at a rocky area instead, different habitat, but it looks like a great habitat for smaller fishes because there are lots of little ledges to tuck under.
All right, pilot's clear when video's clear. Thanks.
And the same goes for that squat lobster, Eumida picta, that we just saw in the next to the black-belly rosefish. We see those frequently at Bluophilia and coral rubble habitats.
So
and these yellow bulbous organisms that are hanging from some of these ledges are likely the anemones that have folded into themselves, and they have a morphology that reminds us of a Venus flytrap. We'll see some that are open.
I think there's one in the upper left coming in
yeah,
there now.
Right on the edge of the screen, and there are two of them actually right there. So you can see on that one rock that's coming into the center now, there are two that are closed up, and then there's one on the lower left of that rock that is partially open. And then on the rock to the left of that, maybe we'll be able to
is there fish in there, or is it
do another quick zoom of the...
Yeah.
Oh, he's closing up the one on the left. Yeah, pilot, can we do a quick zoom on that? Thank you.
Come in, video.
So he's not totally open, but we'll see him pull his tentacles in.
And there's a tiny squat lobster in the upper left, I believe. And right next to the anemone.
Next to
and
him.
Below.
They're everywhere. Of different sizes and species, most likely. Or do you think they're all the same species? Is it hard to tell?
It is hard to tell, but generally they look pretty similar to each other.
And you might have said this, but these are the same group of crustaceans that we see as hermit crabs.
Thank you, Bridge.
They have that same
So pilot, when you're done here,
modified last two legs
to the right
to tuck underneath.
Cams. You can see it in the shadows.
All right, pilot's clear when video's clear.
The laser's back on.
What'd you see, Bobby?
Up and right in your manip cams, there's a pile of rocks or something protruding quite a bit more than everything else. See it nip cam now?
Yeah. I think it's this guy.
Yep.
Beautiful fish.
That fish looks like it's in a good position for a still camera shot.
Let's do it.
I'm looking it up just to make sure.
Can I turn on the forward lights video?
Beautiful view of the Venus flytrap type anemones. And a rockfish.
Calibration is a little off today.
Couple rockfish. Black belly. Said rockfish. I guess they are a rockfish, but their common name is black belly rosefish.
Right between the toes is the sweet spot.
Understood.
That's quite a view.
Yes, it is. We see these rock substrates, these outcrops, or even just fallen rock, as we're looking at in this view. Great substrate for many, many different organisms, as well as great habitat because of the nooks and crannies and overhangs for many other fish and mobile organisms. And this rock looks a little different, actually, from all the slabs we've been seeing. It's a little more blocky. Doesn't appear to be in place, though, so I'm not sure it's representative of the underlying strata or the layers. It could be, it could have broken from above and tumbled down as well.
Yeah, it's mostly white.
Seems to be some scalloping
Next question.
on the upper part.
Yeah, Biddy, could we just move up a little bit
Yeah.
onto the flat?
Video, you can come wide.
Turn it off, and I'm going to kill those forward lights video.
Yeah, this gives you a nice view of the ledge type of habitat. Pilot, we would like to take a rock sample, so maybe we could settle right here since we're near.
That looks like Lophelia right smack in the
Oh,
middle of
isn't
the
that?
top of the screen.
I was looking at the rocks. I'm sorry. It's right in front of me.
Video, you can snap on white coral.
Well, that's interesting.
And there's somebody living under it. Looks like a
Conger eel, yeah.
Well, that is interesting.
That's Lophelia. Well, it's a coral dive after all.
Yep. So while Cheryl is busy looking up some other, well, would you tell us a little bit about Lophelia while we're looking at it?
So Lophelia is a colonial stony coral, and as we've seen on previous dives in this expedition, it is capable of building large mounds off the seafloor over millions of, or at least thousands of years.
Hundreds of thousands,
hundreds of thousands. And it requires a hard substrate to settle on and grow, and so these rocks are that kind of substrate. And its depth range is in fjords. In Norway, it can be found in 10 to 20 meters of water, but that's atypical, and it's usually more like 300 meters down to 800 or 900 meters. And it builds this three-dimensional structure with its skeleton that even after it dies is inhabited by many other organisms that we've been observing and
for a rock, but
characterizing now for about a week.
You can come wide, video.
Yes, we have permission for samples.
All right. Watch, is there a specific rock you'd like to sample?
I'd like one near to the top.
Near the top?
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch leads, this is ROV nav. I'm looking at those rocks just below the fish there. They look awfully cylindrical. Is that natural?
Sorry, I couldn't.
They're bottom left now, going off screen. They kind of look like cylinders.
Question about light penetration, Leslie. Is there any hope of
Come in,
it at this
video.
depth?
No, there's very little, if no light. Oh, this is interesting. That is very good eye.
Dead stocks or something.
That looks like non-geological.
Yeah,
Okay.
it sure does.
Video and
It's like pipes. Or
clear.
There's a couple more to the right.
Yeah. You can come that full wide video. Try to find a rock
If you
hunter.
zoom right in, right there in the center, there's several more. Yeah. Yeah, we'll hold off on the rock idea.
All right, video. Come in on cylindrical, then hold
There's
there.
the scorpion fish you were talking about.
I wonder if they're like dead stocks or something. Or
Quite a few cylindrical objects around here.
And they are well encrusted and coated.
I wonder if the archaeologists are still online and seeing this.
We're still here looking hopefully.
Could these be of any interest, or is it just more debris?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell.
Just under that ledge, there's a pile as well.
yeah, coming video.
Interesting that it's under the ledge.
Hi, Leslie and Casey. This is Scott Harris.
Hey, Scott.
The little round things, the little features there look a lot like some of the burrows that I've seen in the past, terrestrial areas, where the burrows get filled and then they are more solid than the surrounding rock, and as the rock erodes, burrows will often be left as a positive feature.
Okay, video come out partial.
Do you think that's what these pipe-like
It
things
might
are?
be.
Maybe.
Yeah, they do.
Uh-huh.
They'll look like little pipes and little things, and but they do have some oddities to them. In these cases, some of them look like they have a little, like that one's got a little tiny tutu on it, but they look like they have a little band in some of these areas, which would mean some type of chemical reaction as they were being exolved from the rock itself. If that's the case, it could be something entirely different, but it's just very reminiscent of some of the burrows that I've seen that have come out of the rock.
Well, actually, did you need a closer look of any of these
Scott,
subjects,
this
or
is Irv Garrison.
would you like me to move on?
I think that's a plausible explanation. I was just curious.
We're waiting to hear.
So smooth to be
Understood.
burrows, but I'm only familiar with ghost shrimp.
Yeah, and the ones I've seen, and higher.
Hi, Scott.
The ones that I've seen before do tend to be more globular on the outside, the Ophiomorpha burrows, but I do know that there are some smoother ones around.
Yep.
And that one to the far right field that we see on the sort of the bottom right, maybe at 4 o'clock, that one looks like it has a broken distal end that maybe we could zoom into and look at.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick look at this one again with a different. So this one has a right angle to it, but it, of course, could be the way that organism burrows, if it is, in fact,
You can come out on this one. I think
filled in
fish
burrow.
kicked up a bunch of dust for this zone over
And
there.
that's what the textbooks tell us, but I'm not a burrow expert by any stretch of the imagination.
No, and as we're looking at some of the rock outcrop, it'll be helpful to see if we see any that are hanging down through the rock.
Mm-hmm. Actually, if you snap upper left, sort of what the fish is looking at under the ledge.
Come in partial. All right, watch the.
And I think I have a delay today.
Yes, up a little bit, that object hanging down, that might be exactly what they're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about that when I saw it.
Very interesting. So to recap, you're saying that these were potentially burrows that were infilled by more resistant material. And then when these walls were crumbling and when the rocks were crumbling and breaking away, that resistant material is now just laid out on the sediment.
Yes, yeah, and the
Okay.
differential erosion is really
Yeah,
very
you can see
similar
one in the upper
to seeing
screen
that.
also, upper left.
There it is.
Very interesting. Had me fooled. Thought they were pipes.
All right.
We see these in the tertiary a lot up in the Virginia area, and I've seen it in the Quaternary a lot in areas where we do have cementation. And actually, the calcareous dunes that we've looked at in Portugal, they're just beautiful features. I actually have a piece of one sitting on my shelf at home.
And they are
Actually,
typically
fine where
made
we're
of
at
mud,
now.
which would solidify and be more
Tether's flowing
resistant.
nicely to starboard. We're on top.
Well,
so you
some are
can
mud, some are filled with mud,
search around in the tether
some
line.
are filled with coarse shell hash, the calcareous hash from the broken down shells. Really, whatever's in the environment and the activity within the environment. In the tertiary of Virginia, or the middle Neogene, I guess it's called these days, we see some of these birds that are maybe 1 to 4 meters long. I don't know what in the world made them, but there's a lot of activity, and they're filled with shell hash, and the organisms have burrowed in the mud. And other areas, the organisms burrow into shell hash, and then they're filled with mud. So it just really depends on what the geology is beneath, and then what the sediments are above.
It's a good shot.
Is that going to put them in a
also an
kind of a
octocoral
shore face
right above
environment then when they were formed?
I would say probably not for these, given the depth, but it's possible. That's where most of the ones I've seen. I would not dare to guess for this area, not knowing the age of the rocks here and the geology. Maybe Jason can jump in and give us some insight to that for this part of the world.
Got a beautiful view of, is that a conger eel or is that a different type of eel?
Looks like a conger eel to me. And he has a little white octocoral growing over his head.
And a worm.
Yeah, one of those green worms that slithers back into the rock, probably. So, Scott, while we have you on the line, I'd be happy if you picked a rock that you see, if you think we should collect it. Much rather have you select it than me, since you study these.
Well, thank you for your confidence. Anything, and I'm running and going. We're trying to get GSA put together right now. But anything that is fairly typical, something that doesn't necessarily stand out other than the right size to go in the box, because that'll give us a much better indication for what the typical geology is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate to be boring, but...
And is that the surface here at the flat top all right, or do you prefer one on the edge, or does that matter to you?
It doesn't really matter to me as much. I don't know if Jason has a thought to if he would like something from around this area, what would be better for his purposes. To me, as long as it's fairly typical, so that
some octocorals that you see here.
A more general nature age or sediment type or rock type would be would give us better information for the broader context of the geology here.
All right.
There goes the worm.
You can see a lot of the boring from burrows into this rock surface. And there is the proboscis of a green Echiurian.
And retracted.
According to Amanda Demopoulos, and we might see it withdraw. And Cheryl, you said this is what?
It might be one of the corals that we were collecting, and previously we had a little bit of a debate between Swiftia
I think that's
and Unicella. and they both look very similar to me, so maybe we can get somebody else to help us out.
Did you see any other corals in this area you wanted to look at, Watchley? Okay. Yeah. All right, but you can come wide. We'll try to find the other larger guys.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so that one that's just above the conger, the taller one.
Okay. You come back in on the larger subject, brown in color.
These organisms certainly provide some color to an otherwise dull environment.
And this looks like another one of the hydroids that similar to we've collected, and that looks like maybe either a little decorator crab or, yeah, I would say a tiny decorator crab, spider crab. And I don't think we've seen that combination of associations
No, I haven't
before.
seen a spider crab climbing out of the substrate at all. I don't think.
There's another one on the backside. Oops.
Come out.
Yep.
So, pilot, anywhere along here that we can settle that you see a rock that might be detached? One of these brownish slabs would be great.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be big. If we happen to get a anemone on it, that might help in the identification. There's our first sea star.
Oh,
Would be a good spot, I think.
and the white octocore we are looking at, Ira Sampaio says it's a plexurid for sure, but it might be Thessia. And it looks like a Coke can.
Coke can for scale.
Yeah. It's another one of these cylindrical objects. Rocks, actually. Most likely.
Go back.
Wouldn't
Can you
be a bad
joy
idea.
lock for me?
Sure.
Thanks. All right, video. Let's come in on Sea Star. Cool. Got hydraulics up.
Yep. Just gonna poke around here.
Yeah.
You wanna go for port or starboard?
Should make starboard side work.
Okay.
Get minis just on the right monitor if you wanted.
Sure.
And we don't have any echinoderm,
Take it
folks.
from you.
All right, video. You can come wide. Give some of these rocks a poke. See what we got.
So we're looking for just an easy to grab slab. probably not a black one because that isn't the same as everything else. Almost looks like a piece of wood in the foreground. That would be perfect.
Yeah? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty thin.
That's okay. It's representative, I believe, of what most of these are.
Starboard inboard.
You want me to wing inboard?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. There we go. Okay.
Ready?
Yep. Sorry. It was lower than I thought it was. All right. Let's drop it in here.
Okay. Want me to stow it?
Yeah.
Great, thanks. So we have our first sample collection of the day, specimen 01 Geo. For those of you annotating.
Yeah, camera control back to you.
Just gonna look off to port real quick and then we'll.
Yeah, maybe we could just follow this ledge a little bit.
Okay.
You can see how the currents
I'm gonna turn my head to
undermine the edge here, and eventually is a great example of a big slab that broke. Yeah, there was
So
a big one.
like a
Do you want to take a look at it?
130.
Yeah, pilot just went off the screen on the lower left. There's another of those cylindrical features.
Another Coke can.
Yeah, it's come in. Like a black plastic pipe fitting in a tin can.
Oh, we weren't actually talking about that,
Oh.
but and that is sad to see. Bud Light, yeah, there's another one. And you can see some more in front of us now. And just below all that, maybe you have to zoom out a little bit.
There's a metal rod
There's
there.
a much larger one, even farther down.
Hi, Roland. Zoom out a little bit.
Oh,
I think they saw one further
Yeah,
down.
just
right there.
Oh, the large one. Here it is. Come back in. Come back in. Roughly like.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Maybe it's just an old can.
Yep. Please. Okay.
Got it?
This is as close you can get to it, I take it?
No, I'm drifting away
that
on the
has
current. I'm
a
going to come back
turn to it like
Sorry.
the other burrows, if these are in fact burrows. So
You guys got all those rods above it?
Yeah, we saw some earlier.
mm-hmm.
I'm getting closer, Roland. Approaching. Well, actually, do you need a closer look at this?
I think that's probably good.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
just
good.
pan up a little bit or
Yeah.
tilt up onto that flat surface where the smaller ones were. You can see some might even still be attached to the rock. Yeah, that was a good call, Scott Harris. Thanks for solving that mystery, because it definitely
Flat piece right next to the
looks
laser
like what
with a
you were
hole in
talking
it.
about.
How about that right there?
Yep. And then there's that cylinder
Yeah.
growth on the right.
Stick coming out of the rock there. Zoom out. Alright. Just gonna get
Alright.
closer.
So it does look like the underlying rock here is that muddier consolidated material that the organisms are burrowing into on the sides. And so as that erodes away, this overhanging ledge breaks off.
Under the overhang for a second.
And we'll be able to see some of those burrows hanging down from these. They're infilled burrows. That's a great shot.
Ready for zoom?
Yeah.
So again, when the sediments were still new, organisms would burrow down into those sediments, and then the burrows left cavities, and the burrows then filled with a different material.
See the one on the right that's got
and the erosion underneath this ledge has removed the other material, but the burrows themselves had more resistant material in them, so it's like a cast of it.
Forward lat. Causing that vibration. There's a little bit of current here.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more right.
Small gastropod there. Oh, and there's a big tail fin of somebody.
Imagine that's the back end of a conger
A
eel.
conger, yeah. It's got a great spot. Ooh, is that a little medusa of a jellyfish?
I thought it was an anemone, but it's hard to tell.
I don't know what it's holding on to.
All right.
And we have the
do a
Venus
short
flytrap
like 075
morphology
if we wanted to keep following
shown
the ledge.
there.
Is that cloth on the left? You guys looked
We
at
learned
No, we want
a
to
couple days ago that
No, we have not looked
it
at
is
that.
not a
Roland.
single species
where,
that it's referred to as a
DC
Venus
wants us to go.
flytrap. That's a
Yeah,
morphology,
little bit
and
ago
several
was the section where they
anemones
follow the ledge.
use that shape. It's a great adaptation to grabbing food.
Do we want to follow the ledge? Eastbound or westbound?
I would say
This
the
is
direction.
Very
direction
sad
we're
to
going
see so much debris on the
upward,
seafloor.
so eastbound, if that's what we're doing.
We have
think
the
we just
currents
head
coming
uphill.
off the shelf here, but also the
You wanna
Gulf
check the
Stream. So
I think we're pretty much at the top, aren't we?
a lot of fishing
Yes.
activity goes on in
Oh,
the
at the
surface
starboard,
water, so we have to be very careful
Parting
of
word
fishing gear,
request.
because that is one of the biggest
Oh,
Just
hazards.
to get around this, check this area up here. We haven't
To
done
keep
that
an
yet.
eye out for line and chains.
Understood. So it's like kind of a situation.
We can push out and then come back and go along the edge. But I think we need to push out and continue to do this area out in front of you.
Okay.
So I would maybe come back to starboard and I can look
Yeah.
directly out over the flat top.
Okay. Just line back up with you, Dan.
Should we follow the ledge a little longer, or? Yeah, pilot, if we could just either direction, whatever works best, but just follow that ledge.
Watch lead, nav.
Go ahead, Nev.
So the request from Casey and the archaeologists before they left was to continue uphill and check this mound area.
Okay,
We can certainly come back to the ledge after we've done that.
great.
That's what we're running on right
All
now.
right, that's fine. As long as we can come back, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
We just need to get out about another 20 meters straight ahead, check this area, confirm that there's nothing on the top of the mound,
Okay.
creating
I'm
a
gonna come down a
scour.
bit, give you
and then
tether,
we'll
and
come
you
back
can
to the
stretch
ledge.
out.
That sounds great.
Maybe
Thank
if
you.
we can just do a tether length, or that would work well. If they want to move forward, we can.
Yeah, I think just one tether, 30-meter move or something.
Okay, I'm going to tilt up, Levi.
You guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't care.
Looks like what we had for dinner the other night.
Yeah.
Do 30
I
meters
think
then at
that's a
160.
Roshinia.
Could frame
Yeah.
this up video if you wanted. We're looking for wow, he's got quite some range. Come in. I think it might be just trash. We've seen a lot of trash here, Roland.
Bridge, RV nav.
There's another of those green
yes, can you
worms
give a ship
that
move, please?
has its
30
proboscis
meters,
out
bearing
right
160
now.
degrees, 0.2.
Doesn't look very green right now, but
Neat.
Good copy, Bridge.
All right.
Go to the worm.
Okay. Trying to figure out where that vibration's coming from. I think it's a vert. Come out, video. Thanks. All right. So you got a move going 160.
Yep, I'm at the head.
You're at the heading.
Yep.
I'm going the right way. Bobby, what are we looking for up here? Just anything causing the scour type of
I
situation?
just want us to explore around this top mound
Okay.
and guarantee that we make it on the current side of the mound,
Oh,
not
okay.
just the leeward side.
Okay. Yeah, right now I got current coming from my port to my starboard.
Yep, I'm going to bump your sonar back out to 50. I think just adjust your head, come around with your heading to see if anything pops on sonar.
Okay. I'll look around for my sonar.
And we saw a sea star earlier. Nolan Barrett has written in that appears to be a goniasterid, probably a Circeaster americanus, which we did see. And
There's that ridge.
I guess that's CM is Cheryl Morrison. I don't know.
I don't know. Chris Ma.
Chris Ma,
We
of
have the
course.
same
ID'd it
initials.
in the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, of course. It should be Chris Ma.
All right, so that's the ridge that we were on.
Thanks, Nolan.
My starboard there.
Not based on high pack, unless it curves around, which it might
What is
do.
that object to
You're gonna
the
snap
right?
to it?
Yeah, I snapped to this, I think. Looks like trash.
What's your
It's
tether on
man-made.
the back end there? I think you're clear now, but
You have room to get closer, I think.
That with the goal of.
Can we take a closer look at that?
Yes, coming in.
Wow, this is another mound, isn't it?
Like a table or something? Countertop or something?
Is it metal?
Seems to be metal.
I'll zoom out as I approach.
Looks like a cleaning station from a fishing boat.
That's what I was thinking too.
A cleaning station from
Yeah,
a fish
move
fish
almost
boat.
done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, do you need a closer look at this, or do I can keep
No, I
moving?
think we're good.
About halfway.
Understood.
Thanks. Wow, so much trash.
So need to turn port and then saddle the port. I'm still looking at our current move.
All right. Turning back towards the direction of movement to explore the top.
So we have a mound over there.
video snap on this possible rock or possible. Just look kind of square is all.
Looks to be curved also.
You'd come out.
Is that a large sheet of the same stuff there on the left, lower left? of
Yeah,
Rose's?
this whole, can't tell if it's rock or if it's hard to say what material it is, but you can come in partial if you like.
That move is just about complete.
Yeah, does it come in? Is it just an arm of a crab just chilling here?
Yes.
Looks like someone had lunch.
Tilting down 80 degrees.
All right, video. Pilot's clear.
So pilot.
And Jason Chater of the U.S. Geological Survey pointed out that based on the sub-bottom profile trace, we run an acoustic signal that can penetrate the surface
push
and
out and then continue around
takes a
port,
peek at
back
the
to that
underlying
ledge.
strata, the underlying
Pull
layers.
those upper light bars further
He
out.
says
I think
there's
the
some
light's further away.
paleobathymetry or paleo undulating of the seafloor buried under the sediment, but it doesn't look like it is exposed along this track line.
All right, push
So,
them out, and then we'll turn port.
meaning that, I assume, meaning that there is some evidence of, in the past, that there was a little more topography here, and these rocks are layered on top of it, but that older subsurface is not exposed at that cliff-like feature that we just went up. The scour.
Nothing on sonar.
Take one more peek to starboard. Look out.
So the plan is I'm going to have you come back left, hit the ridge, and then you'll do a 180 starboard to get that turnout, and then we'll go this way along the ridge.
Okay. Sometimes you have to turn right to go left.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we explored this area.
Copy that. Turning back to port.
So
you want him to come underneath me, take the turn out of the 6-8?
yeah, I was going to have you.
I think we definitely want to go to the east along the ridge.
Yes, that's
the current's
to the
blowing
east.
the tether opposite.
To the east along the ridge?
Yeah, we want to travel like that edge we were on. We want to be moving.
I was going to take us west towards that mound.
Well, I mean, it's fine. That was the direction the tether was blowing, and she said they didn't care which direction they were
So
going.
now we are on
it'd be more
top
comfortable,
of the
I
scarp
don't think it's
feature
strong
that
enough
we
that it'll be a problem.
climbed, and the sonar on the ROV shows that there is more structure in front of us. So maybe more rock, and it may be something different.
So co-pilot, I was thinking of taking you 30 meters at 015.
Another of the spider crabs that we've seen.
015.
Yeah, you can turn to port with me. Or are we adding turn into the 6-8?
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, if you came underneath me, I could come up real quick and take it out.
So we're going to reverse this. Everything we're doing right now, we're going to reverse once we get back to the edge, right?
Okay.
So if you're turning to port now, you'll come back to starboard to face the edge, then we'll continue off west, right?
Okay.
So you'll turn, get out to the edge. You can turn back this way.
Yep. 015 is fine.
Yeah, this is just temporary to get us back to the edge.
Yep.
Bridge, ROV nav. Ship move, please. 30 meters, bearing 015 degrees, 0.2. Correct. Correct. So almost the way we just came. Thank you.
More man-made material on the bottom right.
We should push out, Levi, because you just called that move in, right? Yeah, so let's get you pushed out before we start to feel that.
And we're moving up another similar incline with these rocky slabs.
Okay, I'm lined up on 015.
This type of slab is often called the crust for the area because it is from the sediments that have been somewhat glued together by the precipitation of mineral matter from the seawater. We just passed over type of coral.
Yeah,
I'm
roger
not
that.
the coral person.
You
She's
are
at
correct.
lunch.
We were jumping out a little bit
Looks like it might have been an
see what was
octocoral.
ahead. As suspected, there was nothing up there, so now we're heading back to a ridge that we were exploring earlier.
You're seeing a conger eel underneath the ledge.
Yeah, that's looking good,
Of course, more of the black belly rosefish.
So yeah, pilot, once you get to the ridge. So this 30 move should counter what we just did. You should get to the ledge and be able to turn back to starboard to get into the original 0 turns.
And that beautiful fish that you see with the yellow and purplish, the common name is swallowtail bass. It's a great name for it. Or Anthias woodsi.
It's that white object
Watch
lower
leads,
right.
nav.
Go ahead, nav.
So just for your awareness, this is that ledge that we were at before. We did our jump out forward to explore the area, and so now we're bringing Sirius back to this ledge, and the new pilots are going to make that move along the ledge as requested earlier.
So we are switching shifts here. We have a new watch of pilots coming in. And we've just been informed by nav that we have circumnavigated the area as we had planned. And sadly did not find what we were seeking.
Pilots.
No, how's it going?
We had hoped
so to
to
give you the
find a
picture,
shipwreck in this area, if you're just tuning in.
Casey and the archaeologists handed off control of the dive, they requested that we come up
using the multi-beam sonar over several passes.
So we pushed
Clearly
out,
an area was identified of significant
to kind of see that area.
Slope
pilot
and
do
a large feature with a very long scoured area
kind of came out
trailing
this way,
off
came
downdrift of the
and now
Gulf
we're going
Stream.
back to a ridge line that the watch leads were really
so
interested
we
in seeing.
Hoped that
So
it
this
was
move should take
hull
Sirius
of a
back out
vessel.
the ridge. It should
So we
counter what we
approached
did
it,
before.
starting at about 360
Co-pilot,
meters
you'll want
water
to
depth.
turn
We approached
right
it slowly
to get
and
that turn out of the 6-8.
encountered
pilot, you want to do the same
a fairly
thing.
steep
Turn
wall
right
of
to starboard and
broken rock
face
slabs.
into the ledge.
Copy
and
that.
we have
And
then
we will be heading, once facing the ledge, we will
circumnavigated
be
the
heading
top
along it
of
to the right.
the rocky wall.
So
Now we're
to the
looking
west
over
on
it.
high
You can
pack.
see how steep it is. And we did not
Good copy,
find
Dave. Thank you.
anything.
As we were exploring and pushing out, we saw this large mound off
or
to
any
the west.
evidence of a shipwreck.
The
I was going
ridgeline
to say
should take you towards it.
we
You
haven't
guys
found
may wanna,
anything made by humans,
when
but
you get
sadly
over
we've
in that
seen
area,
a
you may
tremendous
wanna check
amount
it out.
of marine debris, more than any site to date, which I guess is understandable since we're closer to shore. We're certainly influenced here by the Gulf Stream, so the fishing might be good, so there might be a lot more boats this far out.
I'm going to start swinging to starboard as well, pilot.
And what we're looking at here
or should
is
I get over it first?
sort of
You
this
can, as you come over,
loosely
you can
consolidated
rotating.
rock surface here that breaks off into slabs. And at the edge of that scarp, which is likely an erosional feature, maybe, as Jason Chater had suggested, it could be related to a very large submarine landslide that occurred over 10,000 years ago, and huge quantity of the continental margin detached and slid down, and some of that material, a lot of that material is as deep as 4 kilometers water depth. So we're the very shallowest stretches of that potential area, and so this might have been related to it. The scour feature that we've mapped doesn't continue on to meet any of the submarine canyons, but perhaps it did. It's hard for us to say, but it certainly seems as though it was an erosional detachment of some sort to make this vertical wall. And these big overhanging ledges are because the rock that's at the surface, that sort of crust of rock, is a little more resistant to erosion than what is immediately underneath it. And the currents have been moving around this and working away at the rock. And so underlying rock or sediments get removed. And then eventually these slabs break. They just become too much of an overhang, and those slabs then slide down the face of this very steep scarp. And the good news is that it's great habitat. So even at the surface where we saw all those anemone and
offset of view to
the rose belly,
towards the west, so we can see
black belly rosefish. We see even more concentration of the fish because they have some great habitat here in which to live. We have a conger eel on the right. Seen several of those. So we have just switched out with our front row, and going to see if they're ready to make some introductions.
Watch it, go ahead. Sure. Pilot, this is Nav. Whenever you're in a good spot, this is a nice time, according to Washley's, to do introduction in the front row.
Hello.
Thanks, Bridge.
Hello, everyone. This is Josh Carlson. I'm piloting D2 at the moment. My co-pilot
is Lars Murphy, our navigator.
Sean Kennison.
In the far right, we've got Roland Bryan at video.
And in the back row, Annie White clipping. And we're all with the Global Foundation for Ocean Exploration.
Is that a clock?
That's definitely a clock.
And in the back row, it's just me right now because it's lunchtime. And I'm Leslie Sauter from the College of Charleston, and I'm the geology watch lead. And my co-conspirator in the back row is usually sitting here, and that's Cheryl Morrison from the U.S. Geological Survey in Leetown, West Virginia. And also Derek Sowers, who is the mapping lead. He is often sitting back here with us.
Any questions with previous nav, what we want to do? Great.
And again, that is a swallowtail bass, that beautiful fish with a
Is there any
long
interest
forked
in looking close at that
caudal
clock to see if we
fin.
can get a label?
So you can see how these slabs have
Not
just
that I've heard.
broken
fishing
off,
line.
and now they are
We probably
becoming
don't
sort
have
of a
time for it.
pavement to this scarp, but
That's a good
acting
one.
as excellent substrate for many different organisms. Ooh, is this pilot, is that fishing line?
I think so. Let's do a snap on it.
Actually, it's not fishing line. That is, well, I don't know what it is. It looks like some
It's like wire.
stalk of some kind of, no, there's rope, and it's just got, wow.
Oh, it's branching. Is it branching? Can't
It
tell.
certainly
It's
has
man-made. It's not branching.
become home to many hydroids. And there's definitely some rope in there. I guess that's fishing line. Gets masked by all the biological growth on it. Yeah, Tina has contributed that it's part of longline. So these are some of the hazards that we have to be very aware of down here. Certainly we don't want any of that type of, oh, and there's a much larger piece of rope there. We don't want any of that type of material getting tangled up in our ROV, either in the thrusters or any of the moving parts, but also wrapped around the tether that holds D2 or the ROV to the other ROV that hovers above Sirius, and then Sirius is tethered to the ship. So we have our own lines to worry about, but we certainly have to be very wary of being tangled up in
object.
cast-off fishing lines and other types of gear. A lot of marine debris here.
We've been to this area, but we didn't look inside that thing.
I have you there at 90 degrees, pilot. Pretty much directly above you.
Go for the crab if you want.
Lurking in the distance. Protecting his beer can, it looks like.
That pair of moves looked really good together.
Yeah, in Copilot you can start to turn, I guess, starboard to follow pilot as we transit.
We have three different
along this ridge.
Go ahead in.
Three different decapods. Here we have the spider crab. The larger one there, the broader one, is cancer. And then we have the squat lobster.
Laser is clear.
Gill lasers.
Squat lobster is Emunida picta. And here's Cheryl to rescue me with the other crab names. Well, we got cancer, but I don't know the spider crab.
That is Rachinia crassa.
Rachinia crassa.
Video's clear.